Hi everyone and welcome to this video. As an expat and an investment scam survivor myself, I know what many of you are going through as you're looking at some of the investment plans you may have invested in, and as you're wondering whether it would make more sense for you to continue to invest in them or whether you should cut your losses and run immediately. I'm not a financial advisor and I don't really provide financial advice, but what I have put together is something that was useful to me when I was going through this situation, which is a series of spreadsheets and a scenario analysis to help you understand which is in your own personal financial best interest, whether that's to continue to invest in a plan where you've started investing, or whether you should really cut and run, or alternatively, whether you should reduce your contribution to the minimum allowable contribution and then invest the remainder of what you would be investing in the original plan somewhere else. So I've put together this video. I hope you find it useful. If you have any comments, you know where to find me. Thanks so much.
If you've invested in a long-term savings plan, then at some point you'll probably realize that the plan isn't as flexible or as profitable as you had been led to believe it would be. You'll probably find that the returns are not what you had expected, or that the fees are higher than your advisor had led you to believe that they would be. Most long-term savings plans provide severe penalties for those who wish to leave the plans early. Once you've begun investing, it can be difficult to know how to proceed. You know that you've invested a ton of money that you don't want to lose, but you don't want to continue to pay high fees on an inflexible product either. You'll be told that the surrender value of your product is much less than you've paid into it. What should you do? Should you stay or should you go? In this video, I'll show you how to create an Excel spreadsheet that you could use to calculate the best way forward in this very typical situation. Let's say you had planned to invest $1,000 a month for 20 years in a long-term savings plan. After 1 year, you realized that you had been missold the product and that the investment is not really good for you. What should you do? You realize that you have three options. You can stay and continue to pay high fees on your investment for another 19 years. You can leave and say goodbye to $12,000 that you've already invested, or you can try to reduce your contribution to the minimum amount that your investment plan will allow. There are a few important pieces of information that you'll need. First, you'll need to know the surrender value of your current plan. Second, you'll need to know the total amount of fees that you're paying on the plan. Remember that fees might be charged by the institution as well as on the underlying funds. You'll need to know what you could expect to be paying somewhere else, for example, if you were to buy low-cost ETFs. Finally, you need to know how many years are remaining on the plan. Your next step will be to set up an Excel workbook with one worksheet for every scenario. You can then compare the scenarios to see which situation is best for you. Remember that the fees that you're paying might not be reduced even if you decide to reduce the contribution. Here's an example for the scenario in which the investor continues to invest in the plan. This scenario assumes a 7% return on the markets and a 4% fees being charged on the plan. It assumes 12 contributions each year of $1,000 each. For simplicity, the fees and interest are charged at the end of each year. The ending balance of year 1 becomes the starting balance for year 2, and so forth. Investing in low-cost ETFs is probably much less expensive than continuing to invest in a long-term savings plan. In this case, I've assumed that ETFs can be invested in at 0.2%. Once you've created a separate sheet for each scenario, you can create a new sheet to compile them, and to see the results of all of the scenarios side by side. You can then create a graph of the results. Here, we see that at the end of 20 years, it will have been far more profitable to kiss the $12,000 goodbye today and to begin to invest in low-cost investments. Staying in the plan, the investor could expect to accumulate wealth of $332,000. But by leaving it, and by forfeiting $12,000 now, the investor could end up over $135,000 further ahead after 20 years. Long-term savings plans are designed to trap you into continuing to invest in them. They make you pay the fees first, so that you continue to pay into the plan for the remainder of their duration to get your money back. The total effect on your ability to accumulate wealth will be enormous and expensive. Remember that every investor situation is different, and that before making any decisions, you should seek the advice of a qualified, independent, non-biased, non-commissioned advisor. If you'd like a copy of the spreadsheet that I created, just send me an email and I'll send it over. Check back here for more videos on how to avoid pension scams or how to get out of them once you've been trapped. Thanks so much.